Hello, I'm Harley Schlanger. Welcome to our weekly dialogue with Helga LaRouche, the founder and chairwoman of the Schiller Institute. It's August 11th, 2021. We're just days away from the next major conference sponsored by the Schiller Institute and this one by the LaRouche Legacy Foundation to look at the effect of the 50-year anniversary of events of August 15th, 1971, which established Lyndon LaRouche as the world's leading economist, both in his forecast of that and his warnings afterwards. Helga, this should be an extremely important event, and I hope many of our viewers will not only watch it, but will encourage others to join us.
Yes, I think that this event will highlight the fact that Lyndon LaRouche is, at least in the transatlantic world, by far the leading economist who foresaw what was the implication of Nixon abandoning the Bretton Woods system by replacing fixed exchange rates with floating exchange rates, which set the direction in all the evils we see today: a pandemic, a blowout of the financial system, a general collapse of the cultural side of society. uh, it may be a surprise to many people to see all of these situations being a complex domain hanging together. But Lyndon LaRouche foresaw what this dramatic break was by abandoning a focus on the real economy, on physical economies of the actual universal principles of the universe, and replacing it with the systems analysis, cybernetics, the whole information theory, because he recognized what was the fundamental flaw in the theories of Norbert Wiener, of John von Neumann. And there will be many experts from all over the world who will speak to this on Saturday. So I think, our viewers, should really watch this, because if you want to understand why the economists of the world have been unable to predict the 2008 crisis, why they are completely helpless in finding even an analysis, leave alone a solution to the present crisis, then this Saturday event is an absolute must for you to see. This will be an earth-shattering event, and I'm not promising too much.
This coming Saturday, August 14th, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we're experiencing the end of the phase of the 1971, the post-1971 system. And this is something which Lynn had been warning about and continuing, not just warning, but presenting alternatives. So how would you organize people to watch this and to participate and use this as a springboard to not just learn economics, but bring about a revival of the best tradition of physical economy?
Well, the question people should ask themselves is, why is the world in such a horrendous condition? And I think that the works of Lyndon LaRouche is the absolute key, not only to understand it, but also to remedy it. Because why was Lyndon LaRouche able, as the practically only economist at that time, to identify what was the break, what was the significance of what Nixon did? It was not just a small economic means; it was a fundamental break between, what was an incomplete system, the Bretton Woods system, which never was what Franklin D. Roosevelt had intended, because Truman and Churchill completely, watered it down and did not emphasize the key component of overcoming the underdevelopment of the developing countries. That never was part of what the actual Bretton Woods system was. But it did stabilize for about 2 decades the economies of the United States, of Europe, because it paid attention to some basic, physical economic realities. And Nixon threw that out of the window by introducing a form of monetarism, which was the idea that from now on you would just use um, algorithms to describe the markets. What Lynn had identified, what was the flaw of Wiener and von Neumann, namely, that they applied a system, which has nothing to do with reality. It's a model, and this model is being used today for about everything. This was the same garbage like the Club of Rome, in I think it was 1972, when they put out this program Limits to Growth. It was the same fraudulent model, leaving out the impact of technological progress on the productivity of the economy. That was what LaRouche had identified as the key: human creativity, inventions, discoveries of fundamental principles, and how these discoveries, when they are implemented as technology in the production process, how they affect the productivity. This you cannot measure in terms of these models, and that's why the whole thing does not function. If this is not being reviewed and remedied by science, true discoveries, true physical universal principles, there is no remedy, because you have an entire establishment which is following a wrong idea. Fortunately, not everybody is doing that. Russia, for example, is not doing that. China is not having the same insane approach. So a lot, if people talk about a systemic competition, you have to look, why is the West failing in so many areas? And that is what the Saturday discussion is about, but also an optimistic idea, because Lynn and LaRouche has provided solutions which the world needs more than ever today.
Well, I think that's a perfect way to end, to make sure that people do tune in on Saturday, this coming Saturday, the 14th at 9 a.m. Eastern. As you say, there's no question that we're in a systemic collapse. The question is, do we have the courage to actually learn economics and learn from the greatest economist of this past century, Lyndon LaRouche? So Helga, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on Saturday.